Renee Adams. I am currently working as freelance, a little bit consulting for the non-alc beverage space, really just kind of your go-to guide for everything non-alc beverage, whether that's navigating how to tell people that you're drinking less, what types of beverages maybe to look for when you're new in the space. And then more recently, I'm actually working with a local bar called the Little Sober Bar in Woodstock, Georgia, as their marketing lead. So yeah, really, really excited about that. I also do a little bit of ghostwriting for on LinkedIn for non-alc beverage brands, just really trying to amplify what they're doing, getting these smaller brands out there so they can get awareness and really just trying to have some fun, you know?
Yes.
Like some of this shit can be really heavy. And so if I can add a little bit of just slowness and fun and creativity and some laughs, like then I can walk away being happy.
I'm so glad you said that because a lot of times, like with my involvement federally with the lobbying and also in the different states with North Carolina and Pennsylvania, I work with the lobbying there. And it's like in the advocacy campaigns, it's a lot of not negativity, but it's heavy.
It's
And I
heavy.
think like regardless, my biggest intent, right? And it's funny you said that because I woke up and I intentionally went to bed Sunday and I woke up Monday being like, I'm putting positivity out there now. And I said, because there's two things. One is let's say the ban does happen and then the whole world flips upside down. I want this experience that we all had to be an evergreen thing to leave on the internet because I'm going to be like, regardless of whether people can buy it legally on the shelf, these stories, and that's why I'm going really hard. I'm like I'm doing 4 to 6 episodes a week and bulking and
Woo.
elaborating them up because I want to get
Yeah.
everybody right now because I want everybody's experience to be out there because even if let's say God forbid everything happens and we all go back to other things, the world needs to know that it was a real industry. And even
Yeah.
if 10 years from now it doesn't exist, this will exist online.
Well, and to your point, yes, with the government types of things, like that whole sort of environment can feel very sterile.
Yeah.
And like sometimes you do have to play the game in order to get, the things back that you need in order to continue and for maybe this ban not to happen. But I also think maybe pun intended, planting the seeds of you know what I'm saying? Like planting the seeds of, okay, there's this entire industry. If you are talking about money, okay, sure, that's here, that's happening, that people want, need, and are demanding. And you can't deny that. Like the
Yeah.
numbers, the data, if you're that type of person, like, yeah, sure, you can go to in your community to see and really feel it. But if you're all about data, numbers, all of that shit too, it's there. Like
Yeah.
you can see it. You can see the growth. You can see what's happening now. You can see the projections, all the things with AI, like all of those things, but also just like from a data standpoint, like people want this and it needs to be here.
It does, and I will make a fairly what today would be a political statement is I'm in the middle of the road. I'm a
Mm,
advocate of American access. I'm American. I'm a 17-year business owner in the United States. I believe everybody should have access to everything that's in with safety. And I think that things should be cut out. Some of the stuff should be cut out. Some of the
yeah.
but there should be regulation to cut that out. And I'm not a big fan of broad stroking just because there's bad actors. Also working in the alcohol industry, there's a reason the word bathtub gin exists because they did
Mm,
exist. And what did we do? We regulated them, and they don't exist anymore. They might some places and stuff like that, but they're not
sure.
on the shelf. And I think to ignore history is to shoot ourselves in the foot, and it's anti-American and it's
Mm,
anti-capitalism. And the last thing I remember is one thing we might not agree on it or not, but we're built on capitalism. And to go the opposite of that and not put regulation just seems like we're just not even looking at the same picture. You know what I mean? And that's where I really it's where it grinds my gears. Yeah.
yeah, it's super frustrating. I think because of all of this momentum, naturally, people are potentially afraid of that momentum because I think there's still a lot to be said about the language, the education, how we're presenting these sort of new functional beverages to the marketplace. And I think that a lot of it is sort of fear based because it's like you don't have the full picture. And when, as you said, with history, if you're relating some of these functional beverages to certain, historical things around like cannabis and around THC and around different things, then yeah, people are going to be afraid of it because they just think that you're adding one more thing to people to like numb with. But I think it's really like super important to understand as a whole, people want to feel better. They want to feel better. They want to be clearer. They want to be able to unwind in a way that really isn't detrimental to their health for whatever reason. Like whether you are just taking a break for the night, like on a Tuesday or Thursday, whether it is you're taking a break from alcohol for the 30 days or because you're running, whatever, wherever you fall on the spectrum. For me, it's about normalizing it to a place to where it's not even a question whether or not places have access. People have access to these types of beverages. Because if you put them there, people will have them. People will order them. You can't just keep like, if you put them on the bottom shelf, if you put them in the back of the corner, like, yeah, of course nobody's going to order it because they don't know that you fucking have it. Like, put it out there like you do with the normal alcoholic drinks. It's the same thing. It's like, it's so baffling to me how lazy people are in terms of educating themselves on something that does have a lot of ROI.
It's a lot. And here's the thing is, they're predictable. And I've seen this movie before because when I worked in craft beer, early 2000, I started out when I was 19 years old. So in 04, I started. We were selling Oscar Blues a couple years later, all this other stuff. And there's two things that's funny is one was when we introduced cans in craft beer, the retailer could not understand the price point because they were like, what's in a can? So it must be a sub-premium product. And then the next part is exactly what you just said, is the placement of the product and the ROI and the margins that exist. And the amount of retailers across the state we'd have to argue with, which eventually now are big craft beer places. But in that time, people forget it was a struggle because it was like they wanted everything to be what it was. And then they put it behind everything. And then they would come to us and be like, it's not selling. It's like, well, number one, we still have to educate the consumer. And number two, they have to find it. And that's also the same conversation I'm now having with the functional and non-alcoholic space, where a lot of times still we're still fighting to get non-alcoholic not in the back by the bathroom in the storage room.
Yes.
We're trying to get it up on the floor and in a place where we can access it. Yeah.
Oh my God, Nate, I have to tell you this story because I was at Kroger a couple of weeks ago and I still don't really know if I like agree that non-alc is in the alc like section. Like I think that is okay because it's just like the one-stop shop. Like if you are still getting alcohol, whatever, but it was an end cap. And it had one of my favorite non-alcoholic sparkling wines, the Mianetta, on the bottom shelf. And I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. And like, yes, while I am grateful that it's even on an end cap, okay, I don't like discredit that. Eye level is what sells. Why is it that it's not on eye level? And you could say, yeah, same thing with functional beverages, anything that's not alcohol. And is it just like dollars? Is that why? And if it is, what do we got to do?
Yeah.
What do we got to do to get the shelf space? I don't get it.
It's the funny part too is like is when you talk to, at least in Pennsylvania, they're old school retailers and they've known me for 20 years now, so they know that I'm going to tease them when I say this. But like I was a Miller Coors distributor. I worked with Anheuser-Busch distributors, independent, the whole thing. I've said this even to Miller Coors and things like that. The fact that they own the front and like it's like a wall when you come in, and retailers would be like, well, I got to put it there. It's the most grabbed thing. We just want people to be in and out. And I try to explain to them like this, which I'd like any retailer that listens to hear this. If you put the thing that somebody already wants in the front, they will not buy anything else in your store. There is a reason why grocery stores put the meats and put the milk and everything like that on the opposite side of the entrance, because they want you to buy the other stuff off the shelves as you're going to the necessities. So if Coors Light, Miller Lite, Bud Light is a necessity and it's a turner, you don't have to hit them in the face when they walk in because they're already coming for it. We're human beings. We're linear most of the time. We're coming in, we're grabbing our 30 rack and we're leaving. But if you switch things up a little bit, that display is still going to be there. They're still going to see it. They're still going to get it. But guess what? While they're walking to the other side of the store for their Miller Lite or their Coors Light, they might grab something else. And then all of a sudden you might have an extra $20. And then if 5 people do that a week, that's $100. It's $400. And all of a sudden you get that growing and you're paying your rent with the impulse buy on the way to the display.
Right. Right.
But
Yeah.
it's
I
the
mean,
ego. It's the ego of needing that front end display space, as opposed to the business owner who needs to think about their business, not what we suppliers are coming in telling them what to do. Think
yeah.
through the more of it. And I think that's when you walk in and you're more of a consultative rep, which it sounds like you are as well. You're very much, it's not like walking in and doing orders and checking the box. It's
Right.
like, hey, I want to help you grow your business, because what we need to do is, as this a service side is, I tell everybody I train, if your retail partner is not in business, you're not in business.
Yeah.
So that's what every retailer needs to understand, like, and everybody in this ecosystem, like, they're the most important piece of everything that goes on, including distributors and warehouses important. But at
Of
the end of the
course.
day, the retailer is the most important piece, and them being sustainable and healthy is more important for the entire system.
Yeah. There's like a whole psychology behind all of our behaviors. And I can almost guarantee that if you put a rack of non-alcoholic beer next to the beer, like, yes, maybe you'll get one or two people that are like, oh shit, I got the non-alc one or whatever. But more oftentimes than not, I think people would like the retailers would be pleasantly surprised at how much that is embraced by people, being like, wow, that you're the retailer. Okay. And now you've got loyal customers who are coming back because they feel seen as a customer. Coming in on the end cap, seeing my Mianetta on that middle shelf, I can guarantee you right now, like I'm going to that Kroger every single week because I feel seen as a consumer. I get like the bigger picture. You can't necessarily maybe do that with everyone and everything, but like
Right.
try it out.
That's my
What's the
thing,
big
is try
shit?
it. Exactly. Try it out. And
Yeah.
then the other thing is too, on the brands, and I talk to a lot of brands from a strategy consulting standpoint. If you're doing a non-alc version, do a different logo or do a different color.
Yes. Right.
Like make it easy for the consumer to know this is NA and this is this. And I think a lot of times they want it to look so similar because they want the experience to be similar. They're not
I can see
realizing
that.
exactly what you just said too, where it's like, because also by making the branding and the packaging and the same, it does stop the retailer from putting it together for exactly what you just said. They're like, well, I don't want them to grab this by accident. Then they got to come back. They're upset, everything like
Right.
that. And it's like, that's fair. So, it's a whole industry like tweaking. I don't mean
Yes.
overhaul or reform. I mean tweaking. Like, you make your thing purple, the box is purple instead of the other one, because you're already paying for new boxes. You know what I mean? You might as well get
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
perfect.
And that also like it doesn't even have to like come down to the can being a different like yes, maybe like a stripe on something or just like something like that for if it's in like a bar or restaurant because as a
Right.
consumer like I personally don't necessarily want to have like this big red flag of like hey, I'm not drinking. Not like I give a shit, like you can ask me whatever, no big
Yeah.
deal. But like the outside packaging, yeah, simple. Just change the color, change the wording.
Yeah.
Like it's whatever, no big deal.
Well, it's fun. I didn't even think about that at the on-premise though, and it actually happened to me a couple months ago. I was ordering a Heineken non-alcoholic, and they
Mm,
gave me a bottle of regular Heineken, and luckily I'm so like in tune because of the Cicerone stuff and everything like that from craft beer. I didn't get it
right.
sipping before I could smell like if the
No.
alcohol hit my nose. I
Yeah.
handed it back to the lady, and she felt horrible. And that's true. If you hold a zero in this, they're similar, but not in a reach in. Like the
Yes.
people, you have to really, when you're designing things, you need to think about the real situational situations that product's going to be in. And when you put them together and they're sitting in the ice and they're only showing that top half and the bartender's grabbing because there's 1,000 people in the bar, that's not the bartender's fault. Like
Right.
it's not.
Totally.
And that's why I told
Totally.
that the bartender was about to cry. Like she was like, "My dad's sober." I'm like, "Do not worry." I
Oh,
said, "Even if it touched my lips, I wouldn't be upset. It's not your
yeah.
problem that it looks similar."
Yeah, and I think that really is such a good point for new founders in the space when they are crafting and putting together just like their marketing or what their can looks like. It's the whole you got to look at the bigger picture. You got to look when you are selling to retailers if that's what your thing is. If it is on premise, like from the time that it's put on premise from the bartending, from the staff, from the servers, how easy is it for them to understand what they're selling? How can they relate it? Because they are essentially your liaison.
Yep.
You know, when you're on premise, they need to be able to understand what this functional beverage does, how to market it for the consumers confidently, and taking their own kind of emotion out of it. Like there's a neutrality that needs to come with your bartenders and servers, regardless of what their own, you know, values are, because you are the expert. You are the expert in recommendations for your patrons. Now, I understand that not everybody like is on with a non-alc and like, but if you're sitting here being like, oh, I know it's non-alc, there's no alcohol in it, like, yeah, you're not going to sell it, you know? So yes, take some of the emotion, or maybe not emotion, but like some of your own values sort of out of it. So you have this neutrality, but also I think you just something back with like hospitality. You need to get excited about it. Get stoked about it. Be like, hey, let me tell you about XYZ. We have an alcohol menu, but hey, we also have a non-alc menu that's really good. So I think it does, there's like a whole big picture from start to finish, to really encompass like normalizing functional beverages and non-alc in the space. Because there, like I said too, there's so many new people who want to go out to a bar and restaurant and not order just a soda water with lime or a Diet Coke, you know, which is also fine. But I would love, and I'm so hopeful that we will see a day where we don't have to Google the place before we go to see if they have non-alc available, slash not having to bring my own NA shit and have a $45 corkage fee.
Yeah, the cork. Yeah, I'm not even going to get into the corkage fee situation.
Ridiculous.
Let's jump in, Renee. Let's jump into your story. So what got you into this space? But be detailed and like give me the situation, the environment, the years, like what your age you are, that time that it happens, and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So about 3 years ago, I guess I'll start, I'm sober-ish. So
Yeah.
I 99% of the time do not drink alcohol. I have tried like some of the functional beverages, still kind of trying that out in my curiosity experimental phase with that. But maybe every 4 to 6 months, I'll have a really, really nice glass of wine. The more and more that I go though, it's kind of like, did I really need that? I don't know. So that's kind of where I'm at presently. But my whole journey really started 3 years ago. I have a background playing collegiate sports. I played lacrosse from middle school all throughout high school into college. I've always been very competitive. Like I come from a competitive family.
I'm a
Always
former wrestler, football player, and rugby in college. Yeah, so we're aligned.
right
Yeah.
on. Yes.
And then I had
Okay.
another podcast with that UFC fighter. So we're good.
That's right.
As soon as you said athletes, we're good.
So the mentality is there. So it's like, you know, watched hockey growing up. My dad's side of the family is all French Canadian, like Norwegian, all this stuff. So like very competitive, was always kind of like in sort of, and in a sports sort of realm. Health, fitness has always been my thing. So yeah, 3 years ago, I really wanted to dial into my nutrition. I was like, okay, I've been hitting the gym. I have been counting macros, all that stuff, like, and I'm still not like hitting my goals that I want. So hired a nutritionist. And when I really got into the nitty gritty of tracking all of my calories, all of my macros with the wine, I was like, oh shit, like this is a lot. This is a lot. So it kind of like smacked me in the face a little bit, because I think when you're going through the motions and you're like, I don't really drink that much, you know, like I don't really drink that much, until you see the numbers like calorically and just like the amount, like number of drinks I was having. It was probably something like 15 to 20 a week. So like 2 to 3 every night.
That's chump change. Come on.
Chump change, right. Right. So like 2 to 3 glasses of wine a night. And then on the weekends, probably double that, triple that, going through bottles by myself. And then I started like moving food around to make sure I could have a glass of wine, which also felt kind of like, you know, that shame comes in, of course, too, where you're just like, man, that I don't know, you know, and you hear that a lot too, I feel like, where I'm not alone, where people are like, yeah, I'd rather have my liquid calories or whatever. Or I'd rather have a glass of wine than cake. And it's like, I think I want the cake instead of, but anyways, yeah, that just like didn't feel good. And then simultaneously, one of my best friends, she's actually the co-host of Nosedive, of my podcast. Knew her in grad school, I've known her for over 10 years. She started Sober Curious Coaching.
Okay.
So
Nice.
her beta coaching program, one-on-one coaching around sober curiosity. And she invited me to do some one-on-one coaching simultaneously with this nutrition coaching. And I was like, yeah, this actually pairs very nicely, but also what the fuck is sober curiosity? I was like, I always thought AA was sort of it. Like if you were ever questioning anything to do around your relationship with alcohol, I was like, oh, it's only AA and I don't fit in that box. Like no hate, no shame to AA, to people who resonate with that, like all or nothing, I get it. But for me, I was just like, no, that's not my vibe. So I was like, all right, let's do this. Life changing, like especially coming with the athlete mindset of you go big, you go home. It is all or nothing. There is no in between. There is no gray area. Like, what are you talking about? And so to be introduced to something where it is about experimentation to see what works for you opened up something for me that has just been so dormant. You know, I think that is a very like, once you get into your adult ages, that whimsical side of experimentation kind of comes down. You know, it's like
Yes.
dulled down by all like the alcohol and all this shit. You're like numbing out from all this stuff. And so when I started reducing, it really opened my eyes to how shitty I was feeling. I'm like, oh, okay, like this makes sense about why I just am super anxious, waking up in sweats, like, you know, just sweating profusely and just not performing in my full clear mind. And so from there, I just like took off. I was like diving deep into the non-alcoholic beverage space. I was getting so curious. I was like, yes, I want to try this. I want to try this. It was so fun, and got certified to do one-on-one coaching as well around sober curiosity. Did that for a little while, and really just like went full send into the non-alc beverage space, talking about it with people. That annoying friend who was like, have you heard about sober curiosity? Because I want to tell you about it, you know? And yeah, I was still working my corporate job. I was really wanting Nosedive to turn into kind of like a workshop, working with corporate or maybe collegiate athletes, talking about sober curiosity. That kind of fizzled out. Started doing the podcast even more consistently. That also is kind of fizzling out a little bit, but that's okay. And over the 3 years, I really have just like been living and being an advocate for normalizing non-alc beverages in normal rituals for everybody, because selfishly, that is what I want. I want to see that because it has been such a life-changing thing for me. And this is where like I grew up, yes, liking and being good at a lot of different things, but never felt like I had, you know, when you were growing up and those kids were like, yeah, I want to be a doctor. Like I know since I was 7 that I want to be this, that, the other. I never really had that. And so this was sort of my introduction to what being passionate about something really feels like. Yes, I love sports. Yes, I love wellness. Yes, I love that lifestyle. But really, really being driven intrinsically by something that I just absolutely love. This is my first introduction. And so, yeah, it's been a journey. This is where I'm at now, like consulting with some brands, helping them with language, with how to formulate some of their beverages just as a consumer, just different things to give a value added to people who are new to sober curiosity, who are new to the space, how to talk to people, how to tell people if they so choose that they are no longer really drinking, how to handle that shit in corporate spaces, like also helping corporate incorporate more non-alc. Like I just want to see it in places people frequent. So if there's anything that I can do to help a brand the people who are out there actually being sober curious, and then also the venues who really need these brands like in their premise. That's kind of where I'm at. And then Little Sober Bar.
Yeah.
I love the Little Sober Bar. I'm like, let me tell you the story really quick.
Yeah.
So I lived in Savannah for 12 years. I was coming home on a holiday trip. I was looking for non-alc bottle shops because, you know, of course, you got to BYONAB all the time. And I stumbled upon the Little Sober Bar, reached out to Brittany Hyde. She is the CEO, founder of the Little Sober Bar. She's like, oh my gosh, yeah, cool, come by, blah, blah, blah. Picked up some things, had her on the podcast. Then my husband gets a new job in Atlanta. And so we move up to Woodstock. And what do you know? The Little Sober Bar is 10 minutes away from my house.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so now I'm working there, helping her with some marketing and just, again, like getting more non-alc everywhere.
This, like, a couple of things you went through. And one is my phrase was always, if you're going to hit it hard. That was our shirts for wrestling in high school. And that phrase is just burned in forever with me. And, you know, it's one of the things that, like, a couple of things out of what you said too is, like, coaches always told me, like, if you're going to make a mistake, make it a big one. And I never understood that because my problem in sports was I'm AUHD, Asperger's, whatever the hell we call it back then, and I overthought everything. And I'd be out in the middle of the football field, like in the middle of a play, I could never remember the plays. I was horrible at, like, remembering the plays, so I was always going the wrong way. Like, and everybody's like, you're a smart guy. You're like, why are you doing this? And eventually it turned into my coach pulling me aside and be like, stop thinking.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell? Like, stop thinking. Like, that's what gets me by in life. And so I did. And what then led into was stop caring, and not stop caring like I'm going to sit on the couch and not care about the world, not caring about the eyeballs.
Yes.
And so then I fast forward to life and adulthood, and then the eyeballs started to weigh me back in again. And then the drinking went through the roof because then the drinking was to numb the eyeballs and then to numb the brain from the overthinking.
Yes.
And then that's what that stacking began. And then where you went to with the other stuff is as well is like people, the idea of hospitality, and this is not a either or. I want to reiterate that again, and as you have as well, is that it's not like we don't want alcohol to die. We don't want the industry to die. But we lost sight on what the word hospitality means. It's not hospitality only if you drink alcohol or hospitality only if you drink liquor or whatever, you know, or only if you eat cheesesteaks or wings. It's hospitality if you're a human being walking in. And it's the job of a retailer to, within the means of their budget, have the widest variety optional. And actually, the Brewers Association just came out with a really interesting year-end report from 2025. And the breweries are closing like crazy. Tap rooms are closing in Pennsylvania here.
Same with wineries.
I think just breweries alone in PA, we had over almost 100, I guess, closed in the last year.
Wow.
Or 64 exactly. I'm exaggerating. The rest of them are pending right now. But one of the things is that the report across the country came out, and what happened is the tap rooms that diversified outside of their beer, they're thriving. It's data now that proves it by a national trade organization that if you have a diverse beverage portfolio in the on-premise hospitality world, whether you're a brewery, winery, distillery, bar, restaurant, whatever, you will thrive right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that everybody that's not doing it, it's destiny to die. Like, if you have great beer, you have great beer. Like, there's a lot of those places, and I'm not knocking them, and they should do what they do. But it doesn't hurt to have some diversification.
Yeah.
And one other one too is anybody can look up Total Wine and Spirits. Obviously, we all know that. Look up some recent quotes from the CEO where he said he had a 30% lift in foot traffic in 2025 for the hemp section and functional beverage section. Out of that 30% lift of foot traffic, 60%, I believe, and I could be misquoting, but 60% were people that never been in Total Wine before.
Wow.
Yeah. And again, I could be reversing that, but either way, even if I reverse the numbers, it's still there. Yeah.
It's still there. Like, the proof is in the pudding here, people. Like, I just, and it's still like so frustrating for me, like I mentioned before, having to do the digging, especially at some of these like nicer restaurants that offer non-alc, great non-alc, and I have to be a detective to figure out if you have it. it shouldn't be that hard for consumers to understand whether or not that you have non-alc. It needs to be on the same level as your alcoholic drinks, hands down. It's simple. It really just like keep it simple. It doesn't have to be this big announcement that's nuanced, sort of complicated thing. Add 1 to 2 non-alc or functional beverages to your menu. Start low, start slow, see how that works, see how that, you can incorporate these things easily enough. And then you build on there. It doesn't have to be, again, this all or nothing, like, oh God, we have to add this whole non-alc menu and da 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 da. It's like, add one first. That's not a Heineken Zero. Jesus, like
it's
I'm
funny
sorry.
because
I love Heineken. Like I will take Heineken Zero if that's all I can get, but there's so many other better options.
there is, and the funny, yeah, and the funny thing is when I sit down with the retailers and do the stuff as the regular core of what our business does, it's as simple as this. Every day they're being pitched new products. Every
Mhm.
day they have to edit and change these menus. It is literally, we're talking keystrokes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're already doing the keystrokes to fit in the category. And a lot of people are going to argue it's a pain in the ass. And I'm going to agree. It's a
It
pain
is.
in the
Shit.
ass, but only if you think keystrokes is a pain in the ass. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm,
because here's the thing, and that's when you really pull the onion back and you go, how much of a pain? Because then I'll straight up say to them, hey, I got this new RTD coming in, like, the Orange Crush, 2 moods coming in. Like, can I get that on the menu? And I'll do it as a trick almost to get with them. And they'll be like, yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And then I'll be like, all right, when can we get that on the menu? Oh, probably the next 2 weeks. We're printing again for the next menu reset, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, cool, awesome. And I said, all right, we got these other things. And it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And then I do it intentionally where I lead with the one I know is going to be openly received. And
Yeah.
then I'll call it out on the floor and I say, okay, then they'll push me back on the other stuff. And I go, what's the difference? And
Yeah.
they'll go, well, this is new. And I'm like, this is new.
Yeah. Wait, what?
And then I'm like, and this is the same product description as this. And actually, the characters are almost the same. The amount of characters are the same. So, and then they can't explain it. And then 9 out of 10 times so far, when I actually get to have that conversation where they don't shut down and they actually hear
Yeah.
me, it ends up on the menu.
Well, and it's interesting too, like maybe with the ones too that are like, oh no, like keystrokes or whatever, like maybe there's something wrong with your process then. You
Well,
know?
that's
Like
a
if
whole
it's
nother thing.
hard,
Yeah.
if it's that hard for you to add in there. But yeah, no, I agree. I think there's definitely a lot of barriers still that need to have, yeah, that conversation. And like people like you who are human, who are just saying, hey, what's really going on here? Like,
Yeah.
is it really that it's new, or is it because it's not non-alc? And if it is, all right, cool. Like let's talk about it. Like why is this such a scary thing for it being new when you got a new product right here? You still have to put in the time, the work to market this new thing. It's the same thing. This is just non-alc. Like, why is it? And it's the same thing with when people are talking about sobriety or Cali sober or anything that has the word sober in it. There's still that connotation with that word and with that language that is very sticky for people.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, I don't want to mess with that. We're not messing with that. This is where you have the open dialogue about like, it's really not that scary. It's really not that big of a deal. And you're making it harder than it actually has to be. And here's all the proof kind of around that. And also like, let me help you. Ask for the support. If you really feel
That's
that
it right there too. Yeah.
yeah, if you really feel that uncomfortable, like, okay, I don't know how to market this, no big deal. There are plenty of people like yourself who can help them with a toolkit to market the non-alc because it is maybe that is new to them. And ask for support, like, and put your ego aside. You don't know how to do something, ask for the support. There's plenty of people in this space who are ready and willing to help you sell. And on the flip side of that, if you are a new brand in the market, foster those relationships. Like if you are direct to consumer or if you are trying to get on premise, like follow up. with these places. Follow up with the bars. Don't just show up, drop it on them. Hey, try this. Let me know what you think. Like, here's some free stuff. You got to foster and cultivate some of these relationships to help each other out. If you want your stuff on premise, or if you want your stuff in venues, whatever your vision is for your brand, you've got to do some of the work too. Yes, there's a lot of work in putting together a brand in general, the marketing, all of that, of course. But you've got to foster the relationships. You've got to follow up. You've got to, like, a month later, 2 weeks later, hey, how did it go? How did you like it? How are your servers liking it? Oh, they don't know how to sell it. Oh, let me help. So I think that there's a lot more that comes with the attention and the intention when you are selling, marketing these non-alc bevs. You can't just drop it on somebody's doorstep and expect it to sell.
I want to piggyback on that, because that's something that I do. We just launched a new product, and I'm the one that goes out between me and the distributor partner that we have is a warehouse and last mile delivery. So we're the front end agency that's separate from them. And so they help out with the farther distances. They'll do the sample drops while they're already making deliveries, and then I do the other ones. And one thing I find is, to answer the menu thing. So anybody that's listening that's wondering, how do I do this? Like, you guys are saying some great stuff. We're not trying to be negative at all. We're trying to actually enhance everything. And try to help everybody sell more. That's this conversation. If you're listening to this and you're taking it negative, you're not in the right mindset. The fact is, we're not downing anybody. We're tweaking out what can be tweaked so that we can flow a little bit better when it comes down to this. I even have a template on my computer where I'll pull it up and I say, hey, if I go to Staples and I print out 30 of these or 50 of these, and then I send you the PDF, will you take care of it from then on forward in replacements? But I'll take care of the first run. And that's $40 out of my pocket, which for a lot of people, yeah, you're going to say, oh God, $40 at every other place. Think long term. If that place is in there and you put that in, yes, first month, you might not make any money. You might lose $40 in the first month. But month 6, 7, 8, when they're producing it themselves, because when they start producing it themselves, then they have ownership of it.
Yes.
Then they're paying attention to who throws it away. They're making sure it's inside. They're making sure it's taped in there, whatever it is, or it's a table 10 or whatever. So I think that's my old school pieces, like working so long in the beer industry. We're a big table tent company. We're a big, menu company. Like, that's what you got to do. You got to get that stuff out there and you got to get it in front of people. And I think as much as we're bootstrapped in, let's say specifically in hemp, like capital's rough. And I'm not, everybody's like, I don't have the money. It's not about the big budgets. It's about the little moments and the little things, because running to Staples and getting 10 or 20 and then bringing it back, it's a $20 investment that literally it's probably going to in 12 months pay off in thousands of dollars in sales.
Right.
And if not more. And that's where I think we lose the sight of, in business, you got to spend money to make money. And the problem is, we're in the scarcity mindset because we don't have the capital we need in this industry, that we're in that scarcity mindset. And I try to teach founders, like, I am not a millionaire. I've been in this business a long time as a solopreneur. You don't become a millionaire being a solopreneur in the beverage business. Yeah. Like, I think you grind it out and you're persistent and you're just a battered guy that can still stand there and smile and be passionate. That's how you last 17 years. But one of the things that I think a lot of people need to understand is that we can't lose sight of, you got to spend money to make money. And we're not talking about $1 million marketing campaign. We're talking about a few $20 investments across a state. And well, even to that point, like, if you're bootstrapping even more, listen, AI can do a lot of shit. You go on Canva, you make a repeatable template for somebody, whatever that looks like. If it's like, hey, use this language, hey, use this for your servers, you put it together, you send it in an email to whoever you're taking it to, even if you can't print those things out, or you print one copy, you have one copy that you take to all of these different places. They can make copies if they want. Email is free. Yep. Canva, for the most part, they have free editions of everything. So if you can have a sort of toolkit that you're bringing to these bars, or that you're, working with these relationships with people to see what will work, you put together a repeatable SOP, a repeatable strategy that's fun. Take the sterile part out of it. I know SOP can be like, oh, gross, like SOP, corporate language, whatever, but you need to have these systems in place so that when somebody new does come in, if you are, a server or a bartender, they can easily read these things off and start repeat the systems. And then you can grow, and then you can change the systems if you want. So if you are coming into these places, put together a little cheat sheet, put together something that's fun. You can freaking email it to them in a PDF if that's the absolute
lowest tier, I think, for barrier
Mhm.
to entry in sort of these sort of processes. And then follow up with them, be like, hey, did you use this? Was it helpful? What part wasn't helpful? Get the feedback, start that rapport. So then you can start building out these actual foundational things that will help build your business, help build the businesses that you're also working with so that you can all thrive together.
And I'm going to say, any retail partner that's listening, please close your ears for a second, because I'm going to give a tip to all the brands out there and distributors. If you make, whether it's PDF or print, if you make the menu for non-alcoholic, functional, and all that hemp, if you were on the menu, they might give you one or two SKUs because they're
Mhm.
going to squeeze you in. If you make the menu, guess what you get to do? Well, look at all this dead space over here. So then all of a sudden, 90% of the time, your sale becomes 8 to 10 SKUs.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's the back end that nobody wants to really hear, is you sell more when you make the effort to help them out.
It's true. It's so true. And and to your point of like how our mentality really does change how we operate just in this world, in this space. It's hard. I understand that there are hardships, there are challenges. It's not as easy as implementing these things that we are saying. I recognize that. I am
Mhm.
not delusional in that, but I think if we can all get on the same page about the open dialogue, how we can leverage each other's skills, how we can help one another. I think when we band together, that's the whole reason why this community is so great, is because there are so many talented people in this space who are advocating for some really like impactful things. And we can help one another, leverage each other's audiences, leverage each other's knowledge. Golden. It's golden.
That's a perfect closeout right there. I appreciate that. Real quick for the audience and everything like that, just circle back and remind them, and corporate language there too for everybody.
Yeah.
So
Circle back.
let them know. Let them know. I've never lasted more than 90 days in a corporate environment. I have to publicly say that to everybody. So anytime
Unemployable is what I've heard.
that's my mom cringes when I say that, and I'm like, you need to understand, Mom. It's not that I'm devalued. It's that when you've run your own business for 17 years, nobody wants to hear your opinion in the corporate world. You know, and so it's like, they don't want to know what you want to say. So let's go with yeah. Remind everybody: social media tags, LinkedIn, websites, your podcast, everything like that, as we're kind of closing out.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on LinkedIn at Hey Renee Adams, or if in the search bar, just Renee Adams non-alc. On Instagram, I'm at Hey Renee Adams. Also follow the little sober bar, which is the little sober bar. And then of course you can find us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, just Nosedive, one word. And yeah, if you're looking for any help in the space, if you need some of those templates, if you need some of those toolkits, if you need some help in any way, shape, or form, or just like some recs on some good non-alc beverages, I have tried like hundreds at this point. So just reach out to me. I'm always here as a support, as a resource, and I'd love to help.
I'm looking forward to logging as many non-alc and functional and hemp beverages as I did with craft beers on Untapped. So
Yes, we need to compare. I have like a whole freaking list going. So anytime you find a new one, please let me know. We need to do like a little share our list
yes,
thing because
yes.
I'm always about trying new things.
That's perfect. Well, hey, Renee, I really appreciate you coming on here, and I say this a lot as you listen to the show, but I have to publicly tell people and remind everybody: there's no script and there's no agenda. There's no monitor over top of me. Renee and I have literally never met in person. We never even met in a Zoom meeting or a Google Meet
No.
prior to this. Yeah, what you're seeing is two strangers connecting in under an hour. And I want everybody to understand that that's how simple this is. If you stop caring about the eyeballs and you stop caring about what dumb shit comes out of your mouth and you just act like a human being, you can connect with other human beings. And I think that that's the hard part. It is hard. It's hard to ignore the noise. But just Renee, thank you for the cojones, and I know the courage and all that to just come in here and do this, because we get rejected a lot. I'm not saying that as a victimhood. I mean, I laugh when people reject it because it's just not, they don't have it.
No
They
big
just
deal.
don't have they
No
don't have
big
the
deal.
chutzpah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I'm a big Let It Go fan, so I don't take things personal. But I want to close out also with letting everybody know, it's this world is beautifully dangerous, and it's also beautiful. And when you're walking down the street, put your phone in your pocket, look at the person in the eye as you're walking through with the strangers. As you're at the gas station, look to the person next to you filling their cup of coffee, ask them how they're doing, actually give a shit about what they say. Take a minute, have a conversation. You don't know what's going on in their life. And while your life might be full and you might be connected to everybody in the world, somebody else is really fucking lonely out there. And that 5 minutes could make their week, their month, their year. And I'm going to be honest too, there might be a time where they were thinking about exiting this world. And the fact that you reached out as a human being, they could pause. And I think that that's something that I don't say enough in this. And I think it's coming to light more as people are dealing with the mental health across this country and across the world. So be a good human out there. It's pretty free not to be a piece of shit. So, it's pretty inexpensive.
That's what's up. That's what's up, Nate. Thank you so much for having me. Very grateful. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Renee. You have a good rest of your day. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, we'll see you till next time. See ya.
You take care.